A strange virus has taken over the world, pushing everyone into remote meetings and online classes. While most people are stuck on their phones complaining about being lonely, our guy's living your dream life because he's actually rooming with the class's hottest chick. Now things go wild when she touches him slightly and starts chuckling as he looks at her a bit confused. During online class, our buddy coughs involuntarily, then freezes as he notices her mic is on. The teacher asks whose voice it was, and her roommate quickly covers for him. With a playful calm, she says it was just her brother stopping by for a reference book, then apologizes for the disturbance. The class resumes as the two continue their hidden life. She gives our boy a faint apology for her earlier, and he simply replies with an okay. Then we find out her roommate's got a solid build, silky hair, fair skin, and dangerously captivating eyes. Her most dangerous weapon is her lips, but don't be fooled folks, this atomic bomb is Hoshikawa Haruko. She's the kind of girl who not only tops every exam, but also the beauty charts, like she walks straight out of some prestigious family brochure. Her friends often ask her about the number of confessions she gets. Because of her popularity, our hero Yoshino always thought she was out of his league, which is why it still feels unreal that she sits right next to him. He wonders why she touched him and casually asks if something happened to the computer. She answers that yes, it was acting strange just a moment ago. Our boy is left dazed as she smiles, wondering if she is watching his confusion. She adds that the computer controls weren't working and asks if they're fine now, leaving our buddy to wonder if she's actually enjoying this. He says it is good as long as they are fine, though inside he feels uneasy about how casually she touches him. If he were a different kind of person, things might not be the same. The memory of her stumbling crosses his mind, but he pushes it aside, deciding she should simply be glad he is the kind to hold back. Then she suddenly pokes him with a finger, startling him again. He wonders if this time she is aiming for his side. When he glances at her, her skirt has shifted just enough to reveal her thighs, and her face carries a faint blush. For a moment he suspects she might be doing it on purpose, but another thought quickly follows that maybe she has no idea how she looks right now. Unable to take it, he shuts his eyes and pulls her skirt back down to cover her. The thought of her noticing makes his chest tighten. She tilts her head and innocently asks what is wrong. He tells her face turned red, but she only smiles and insists she is fine. Then he remembers Hoshi is not good with machines, and that is why she cannot fix the controls. The scene shifts to a large building, revealed to be Hoshi's house. 3 days earlier, in April of his second year in high school, he stops in front of a signal and wonders what it is for. A guard explains that someone has been infected, and the area needs disinfection. He thinks about how hard the janitor's job must be and asks if they will be able to enter. The guard replies that no one can go inside, since from that day the dormitory is shut down. The news shocks him, as all his belongings are still inside. The guard adds that everyone has already evacuated to their hometowns to prevent a mass infection and tells him to wait until it reopens. Feeling forgotten, he asks if no one remembers him, but the guard only apologizes. Our boy never imagined things would turn out this way after wasting time in the club room with the computer. He tries calling his mother, only to hear her apologizing as she explains she is too afraid of infection and has already returned home. That is his second shock. He calls his friends, but they also refuse to let him stay. Left with nowhere to go, he stands alone, unable to find a place. Our hero goes to an internet cafe, but the staff says high school students can only stay before 10 p.m. He then tries a family restaurant, but they also turn him away. Next, he checks out some hotels, only to realize the prices are far beyond what he can afford. With nowhere else to go, he sits down on a bench. When nothing seems to go his way, he finally lies down and decides to sleep outside. It's spring, so the weather isn't too cold, and he convinces himself he won't die just from spending the night outdoors. This is someone walking toward him. As he focuses, he realizes it is Hoshikawa from his class. The girl seems surprised to see someone lying there, while he feels a bit flustered and starts sweating. For a moment, it seems like their eyes meet, but Hoshikawa quickly looks away and begins rummaging through her bag. She pulls out her phone and waves it around as if searching for a signal. Our boy wonders what she is doing until she explains that she is having trouble catching Wi-Fi. She speaks in a mechanical rhythm that makes her sound almost like a robot, and he suspects she is glancing at him. Their eyes meet again, but she quickly averts her face. Feeling awkward, he sits up, which startles her. He immediately apologizes for suddenly turning toward her, but she assures him that it is fine and admits she was simply surprised. But then she grows suspicious and asks if he is Yoshino-kun. Since he is wearing a mask and it is dark, she cannot be sure, yet she tells herself he looks like the same boy from her second-year class. Our hero feels she is being rather casual, but he admits he is Yoshino. Hoshi looks surprised to see him there and even lets out a small laugh. He wonders why she seems so happy and if she always acts that way. She asks why he is outside so late. He says he thought of sleeping outdoors, which startles her. He explains that he lives in the student dormitory, and she replies she already knows since she has seen him leaving there before. He then tells her the dormitory is closed because of an infected person, leaving him with nowhere to go. When she asks about his family home, he explains his parents told him not to return as they fear infection. At that moment she finally understands. Then our hero asks her what she's doing in the park. She says she came to catch a Wi-Fi signal, which makes him feel awkward. But then she explains that without Wi-Fi, they won't be able to attend classes starting next week. She thought she could just catch the signal here, but reluctantly admits she'll try to bring it home. Our boy can't help but laugh a little. He tells her that public Wi-Fi isn't like candy. She can't just grab it and take it home. That stuns her. He explains how it actually works and tells her she needs to set up the internet at her own place. Surprised, he asks if she really doesn't have the internet at home. In the middle of all this, she realizes how smart he is and thanks him. He encourages her, saying she can understand the Wi-Fi stuff if she tries, but she immediately admits she's terrible with machines and feels embarrassed. Then she asks our guy if he can help her, since he's from the computer club. She wants him to teach her about computers, flashing him a deadly cute face while asking. In that cool breeze, our soldier falls into what feels like a dream. The most famous girl in class asks him for help, and he answers right away that if she is fine with him, then he will do it. Hearing this, she smiles happily. He thinks it's much better to do something useful for her than waste time sleeping outside alone. Our boy asks if the exact Wi-Fi thing happens before, to which she changes the subject and asks if he can make Wi-Fi usable at her home. Our boy nervously asks if her parents will be okay with him visiting. She simply grabs his shirt and calmly tells him to come along, since her house is nearby. He hesitates but goes with her, overthinking the whole situation. Looking at her, he wonders if this is basically turning into a romantic date. On the way, he glances up at a tall building and asks if that's where her apartment is. She says yes, and soon they arrive. As she unlocks the door and invites him in, he feels nervous as he's used to sharing a small, shabby apartment with friends. But the moment he steps inside, everything looks glamorous, almost like a work of art. He blurts out that her place feels like a masterpiece. Then she turns to him, talking while removing her mask. For the first time, he sees her face without it and finds her even more gorgeous than he could have imagined. When he comments that the interior and facilities look really convenient, she shakes her head and says they are not that great at all. She explains that the real interior is inside the room, so he should come in and take a proper look. He then asks about her family, mentioning that it is getting late and he would like to greet them first. She replies that they are not here, which catches him off guard. He starts to sweat as she explains that her family actually lives far away and she stays here alone. After realizing they are alone in the apartment, Yoshino starts to panic. His heart races as he nervously asks if it is really just the two of them. She calmly tells him it is the bedroom, so it is a bit embarrassing, but he should come in. Yoshino stiffly denies being bothered and follows her inside. As soon as he enters, he notices the room smells nice. Hashikawa calls him over, pointing toward her desk. Our guy notices the same laptop loaned from the school like his, but he just wants to finish quickly and get out of her place. He then casually says he'll touch it for a bit, and the girl is left completely dazed. She tries to stop him, saying she needs to prepare herself mentally, but our boy shoots back asking why wait when she was the one who called him here in the first place. Seeing her flustered face, he starts to wonder if she has something open on the laptop that she doesn't want him to see. So he pushes the turn on her, telling her to touch it first. She's shocked, still running wild thoughts through her head, but instead of admitting anything, she acts troubled. That's when our guy presses further, asking if she has no experience. If that's the case, then she should let him go ahead and touch it himself. Hashikawa, looking nervous but cornered, finally nods her head in agreement. But instead of making any move on her, our boy simply excuses himself and reaches toward the laptop. Meanwhile, she's standing there frozen, stuck in the middle of imagining their first kiss, completely misunderstanding the whole situation. She feels so embarrassed, but her hero tells her not to worry about something she can't set up herself. Finally, he opens the web browser and confirms the connection without breaking a sweat. She looks at him in surprise, saying he did it so fast. He just nods, telling her that from now on, every time she starts it up, it'll automatically connect. Then, out of nowhere, she grabs his hand and thanks him sincerely. Our boy tries to pull away, ready to leave, but she suddenly tells him to wait. He insists it's fine, saying he wants to go now. She asks where he's heading back to, and he casually replies that he's going to the park. That instantly worries her. She tells him it's not safe, it's cold, and he could get sick. Before he can argue, she blurts out that she lives alone and has a spare room next door. Since it is already late, she suggests he could stay over. Our hero freezes with his thoughts racing. He wonders if she is really offering to let him stay. The idea makes his heart pound, but he stays cautious. If he missteps now, he might end up disliked by the super popular Hashikawa herself. As his head spins, she suddenly shouts again. She claims she's bad with machines and can't do anything besides Wi-Fi setups. That's why she needs him, since he's good with machines. He could help her with the remote classes. She admits she's worried about keeping up properly, so that's why she wants him to stay. Our boy, still unsure, asks if it's really okay for him to stay here. She remains quiet for a moment, then shyly says that if Yoshi wants to stay, then it's fine. Hearing this, our boy finally admits that he's really sorry to ask, but it would really help him if she could let him stay. Her face lights up instantly. She joyfully tells him it's completely okay for him to stay at her place. Our boy is shocked. He expected her to hesitate, but instead she looks genuinely happy about it. Then she explains the reason. It's because she can learn about machines from him. Our boy answers without thinking, saying that if there's anything he can teach her, he will do it as much as she wants. At that, she suddenly grabs his hand, laughing and smiling with so much energy that it stuns him. Our boy can't help but wonder what's wrong with this girl. What has gone wrong with this cute creature? He can't believe she's the same flawless beauty from his class. Looking at her cheerful face, he starts to understand. Maybe this side of her is the real reason she's so charming. She then looks at him and says she'll be counting on him from now on. Our boy nods and says he'll be counting on her too. But in that moment of warmth, he didn't realize there was still one lie hidden in her words. In the flashback, we learn that Haruko has always been bad at lying. Since childhood, her family often told her that everyone could easily tell when she was hiding something, and that fear stayed with her. But this time, when she lied to our hero, she was secretly happy that he didn't notice. Lying on his bed, she feels a bit sorry for deceiving him. But then the story takes a sharp twist. It turns out stumbling upon him at the park wasn't a coincidence at all. She already knew the student dormitory was closed and that he lived there, so she worried about whether he might have gone back home or not. Opening her laptop, Haruko reveals that she's not bad with machines at all. In fact, she's smart. She had searched all the possible places where our boy could stay for the night, and the only option that came up was the park, exactly where our hero ended up. So in the end, it wasn't the Wi-Fi she wanted to connect to, it was him. She had been smiling the whole time, but thanks to the mask she wears, he could see her true expression. She admits that pretending to be bad with machines was just a spur-of-the-moment act. She simply hadn't thought of any other way to approach him. Looking back at her phone, she's certain it must have been at that moment when she decided to play the act. It was about a year ago, back when she had just moved here before the entrance ceremony. Struggling to connect her new phone to the internet, she spotted him walking by and quickly called out. When he turned around to see if she was calling him, she shyly asked if he could help her connect to Wi-Fi. He told her to hand over the phone. As she passed it to him, she thought about how long it had been since she last relied on someone for help. Meanwhile, he was already figuring it out, and in no time he got the internet working. He explained that the phone had just been trying to grab free Wi-Fi, but now it should be fine. She thanked him, admitting she had just bought the phone, and after moving here, she didn't know anyone. He then asked if she was planning to enroll at this school. When she said yes, he replied that he was enrolling too, and told her that if she ever needed help again, she could always come to him. As he handed the phone back, she was already completely drawn to him. That was the exact moment she realized she had fallen in love at first sight. Later, she enrolled, and their paths crossed again in a classroom. There she thought about how indifferent he seemed to girls. His presence was calm, almost like quiet air, but she found herself more and more captivated by his personality. Still, she didn't know how to approach him. Since she was terrible at lying, she worried that if their eyes ever met, he would immediately realize how much she liked him. To hide it, she drifted off into daydreams about his eyes, the warmth of his hands, the way he reacted to her words and actions. Her unrequited love grew stronger and stronger until her feelings became uncontrollable, and that's why, today, she ended up bringing him to her apartment. Lying on the bed, she admits to herself that our hero is just too cute. She wonders what kind of reaction he would give if she played even more pranks on him. Deep down, she wants to rely on him more, and she even wants to touch him. The reason she keeps lying is because it gives her an excuse to lean on him, but earlier, her heart was pounding. She got flustered, thinking he might actually touch her for real. But this isn't the time to be flustered. She sits up, reminding herself that starting tomorrow, there's a bigger problem she needs to tackle. She assures herself that it's all about getting closer to our hero, before the state of emergency is lifted. While they're still forced to spend time together in close quarters, she wonders, won't this be the perfect chance to create a fate that can't be undone? Still, she doesn't want to come off as pushy or desperate, afraid of scaring him away. Just then, she hears our hero calling out to her. Suddenly, her thoughts race with an image of him pushing her down on the bed, saying he can't hold back anymore, that it's her fault for tempting him. As he leans closer for a kiss, she feels a wild, exciting urge for him to actually make a move. That's when she decides her plan is to lure him into making the first move. That way, her lies and desires will stay hidden, and nothing will slip. Hugging her pillow tight, she even wonders if she should sneak into his bed. For a moment, the thought tempts her, but in the end, she shakes it off, knowing it might not be such a good idea to begin with. The scene shifts to our hero's bed, where he suddenly feels something soft brushing against his hand. Half asleep, he stirs, and when he finally opens his eyes, he finds Haruko sleeping in his bed. Shocked, he immediately panics and sits up. She wakes too, blinking at him sleepily and asking what happened. Our boy nervously asks why she's here. She casually replies that it's because this is her room. That jolts his memory. Thanks to various circumstances, he ended up living in Haruko's house, but he quickly points out that her actual bedroom is supposed to be next door. Turning away from the bed, she apologizes and says it must have been sleepwalking. She must have half asleep wandered into the wrong room. Without waiting, she heads toward the door, saying she'll go make breakfast and wait for him. Our hero stays quiet, still stunned, but as she leaves, he notices how warm and soft her hand felt in his. He reassures himself, wondering if he did anything weird by mistake. When he steps out of the room, his eyes fall on a pile of clothes scattered in the corner. He freezes, wondering whose clothes they are. Since Haruko lives alone, his first thought is that maybe they belong to a boyfriend. But then he remembers how he always thought of her as a pure, proper young lady, and realizes maybe that image was completely wrong. Feeling out of place, he tells himself that if that's true, his presence here will only be a bother. For now, he just plans to properly thank her later. A little while later, Haruko comes out in an apron, apologizing that breakfast isn't ready yet and promising to prepare it right away. But when she goes to crack an egg, she does it right on his head, leaving him stunned. Our hero wipes the mess off and tells her he can help instead, but she quickly says she's just left with cooking the food. He asks if she's good at cooking, and she replies that since she lives alone, she has to be at least decent at it. Then he casually brings up the time she said she was bad with machines, admitting that he was a little worried. This shocks her instantly. Trying to keep her cool, he asks if she can at least use the stove and microwave. She glances at the microwave and quickly blurts out that she can't use it at all. That's why she's been having some trouble. He tells her it must have been tough and inconvenient for her, and she nods in agreement. Just then, the rice cooker rings. She freezes again, but explains that she somehow managed to get it working through sheer determination. He tells her that's impressive, and the praise makes her light up with happiness. Wanting to push things further, she then asks him to teach her how to use the stove. He explains the controls, but she insists he come over and show her. Awkwardly, he says he could just eat rice with a raw egg and apologizes since as a freeloader he should not go against her. Still, he ends up moving closer and pointing out the stove switch. As he leans in, their hands brush against each other, instantly reminding him of the night she was lying beside him. His face turns red, and she immediately notices, asking if he's okay. He hurriedly claims it's just because the pot is getting hot. Turning his face away to hide his sweat, he thinks he got away with it, but she clearly understands what's really going on. After eating, he says the food is delicious and can't believe she made it so well. She feels flustered but happy at his praise. Our boy thanks her not only for the meal and place to sleep, but also for lending him clothes. She tells him to keep them, which surprises him. He insists on paying since they are brand new, but then asks if they belong to her boyfriend. Shocked, she says she never had one and only bought them to be prepared. Embarrassed, our boy apologizes for jumping to conclusions. She then admits he's the first person she ever let into her house, leaving him stunned. Feeling awkward, he offers to do something in return, since she gave him a place to stay. She flusters and blurts something silly, then quickly changes the subject and asks him to go out with her. She corrects herself again, saying she just wants him to join her for shopping. He agrees and suggests they cook together afterward. When she asks if he can cook, he admits he can only make instant noodles, which makes her laugh. He smiles and says he can't blame her for laughing. She says she would like him to make it, since anything he cooks should taste good. Our boy agrees, saying if she wants it then he will make it, and she beams with excitement. She feels thankful to him, so much that she forgets for a moment about the strange virus spreading and the world falling into chaos. When they reach the store, they find the shelves empty because of panic buying and the crowd filling the market. She suggests using the self-checkout, saying it's quicker. Our hero asks if she knows how to use it, but she admits she doesn't. He shows her how to scan, though she keeps staring at him instead. He tells her to watch what he's doing, then asks if there's something on his face. She says she was just checking if he wore the mask properly. Then she takes out his black card and says she will handle the payment. This stuns him again, and he thinks it's better to act like he never saw that. On their way back through town, he notices how unusually quiet the area feels, with everything closed as if it's a different world. She asks if there's anywhere he wants to stop by. He replies that since they're already out, he thought he could treat her to something as thanks for everything she's done. But nothing is open. She says he doesn't need to worry about it, though he still feels bad. Then she suggests they have a home cafe sometime. He agrees, saying that sounds fun. While standing at the crossing, the hero tells her to press the pedestrian button. She admits she doesn't know how. He points it out, and as she presses it, he starts thinking. She may be the top student in their grade, but she's still human like him. It's natural to be skilled in some areas and fall short in others. Later he asks her to press the elevator button. Again she says she doesn't know. He shows her where to press, and she thanks him. Then comes the bigger twist. Our hero looks at her and realizes she is not bad with machines at all. He remembers clearly the first time he went to her house she pressed the button without a problem. There are too many other odd things and he is not so easily fooled. He calls out to her. She turns and asks what it is and her bright eyes meet him. For a moment he is caught off guard and says nothing. He only thanks her for her hard work. She is a little taken aback and senses the awkwardness. But deep down he wonders why she is lying. She thanks him back just as calmly and her smile is radiant. He feels the need to protect it. Still the question nags him. What is the point of pretending to be bad with machines? She tells him he must be tired from carrying the bag and should rest at her house. Our hero hesitates. Could all of this just be to lure him there? No, it does not seem like that. He knows she is enjoying his reactions, but not with bad intentions. Yet for the most famous girl in school to show him affection is not normal. But the world itself is no longer normal. Maybe something like this could happen too. Still one feeling refuses to settle. How could she have feelings for him? For him, it feels like an impossible situation. Our hero glances at his school, which now feels completely deserted. Though he only came to check on how things were, he's secretly glad no one is around. After all, when it's just him and Hoshikawa in her house, he sometimes gets strange ideas. While walking through the grounds, he wonders if the school still hasn't decided on reopening the dorms. The place is supposed to be off limits, yet in his mind, he still hears the voices of his friends and the noise of club activities. Looking up at the sky, he thinks it will be a pain if a security guard catches him, so he decides to head back. He hops over the wall and leaves. Even after being forced out of the dormitory with nowhere else to go, it never felt real. But now that things have settled, he finally realizes the world around him has truly changed. Arriving at Hoshikawa's house, he rings the bell. She opens the door right away with a calm smile and welcomes him back. He pauses, quietly staring at her before telling himself he's home. She notices how tired he looks and asks if something is wrong. He brushes it off, thinking he only needs to freshen up. She reminds him that once he's done, they should make dinner together. He agrees, still amazed that he gets to live under the same roof as the most beautiful girl in school. If he were alone, he would probably feel lonely. But right now, he feels happy. Not long after, she calls out to ask what kind of food he likes. Since he's living there, she wants him to tell her. He can't help but think that Hoshikawa isn't bad with machines at all, so why she pretends otherwise is a mystery. Still, because he wants to keep living peacefully with her, he chooses to ignore it. Living in a luxurious mansion with 3 meals a day and in the company of his class's top beauty, this alone feels like a dream. And if they grow closer, it wouldn't be impossible to expect something more. She might even fall for him. That's why, to protect this sacred life, he tells himself he must be careful not to upset her. But then, something unexpected happens. He absent-mindedly picks up a pair of panties, realizing too late what he's holding. With only the two of them living in the house, there's no doubt they belong to Hoshikawa. His heart pounds as he thinks he needs to put them back before she sees him. Just then, she walks in. He freezes on the spot, panicking. Dropping to the ground, he bows deeply and begs for forgiveness. Hoshikawa looks at him and questions why he was holding her underwear. He hesitates and admits that he thought something, so he picked it up. She asks if it happened right when she entered, and he replies yes. She only mumbles in response, but his mind races. At this rate, she might despise him. She might think he is nothing but a vulgar person. The thought weighs heavily on him as he braces for what she might say next. He explains that he really did not mean to pick it up and that he did not even know what it was. To his surprise, she tells him it was only a joke. The hero sits up in confusion, but she calmly adds that she is not angry, so he does not need to be afraid, and she apologizes for leaving something strange in such a noticeable place. He insists that it was not strange at all, blurting out that it felt silky. Realizing immediately that he had said something inappropriate again, he bows his head once more, apologizing. He feels like an idiot who keeps saying the wrong things. She moves to sit directly in front of him and reassures him that she does not mind any of it. He slowly raises his head but is stunned to find her sitting so close, gently telling him that everything is fine. In his daze, he bumps into her by mistake, leaving him frozen in shock. Overcome with guilt, he confesses that he saw it. When she asks what, he instinctively covers her chest in panic. Confusion lingers in the air. He thinks to himself that if he gets chased out of the house now, it cannot be helped. But after a brief silence, she softly tells him that she does not mind. He remains quiet for a moment, then asks if she is certain. She looks into his eyes and calmly says that it is fine because it is him. He stares at her without a word, unsure what she truly means. After all, he is still a guy, and she should be more cautious around him. When she asks what he is thinking, he apologizes yet again before turning away, saying he will be more careful from now on. Leaving her in the dressing room, he tells himself with confidence that he should not trouble Hoshikawa further with unnecessary words. Meanwhile, back in the dressing room, she is also nervous. She realizes that she may have gone too far. Her idea had been to drop her underwear on purpose as a small prank to tease him, but instead she ended up troubling Yoshi. She feels bad because while she only wanted to make him more conscious of her, she might have overdone it. A peaceful Sunday arrives, but for our hero, it does not feel like a day of rest. He spends it calmly, sitting on the couch, yet he cannot help but notice how close she is sitting beside him. This has nothing to do with social distance. It feels intentional. She suddenly tells him that her phone screen is not displaying properly. He knows she is only pretending, but still takes the phone from her to check. Leaning closer, she asks if she can watch him operate it. He answers that it is fine. She smiles joyfully, saying she will remember it better as she observes from up close, and adds that he is a great help. Meanwhile, the hero struggles to stay focused on fixing the phone with her watching so closely. The scene shifts to the dressing room. She tells him that the hot water is not flowing. Once again, he knows it is another act. As he checks, he suddenly takes hold of her hands, noticing that they are cold from the water. She asks softly if she can have some of his warmth. He replies that if she is fine with him, then she can do as she wishes. Right after, she suddenly remarks that the hot water came out. Later in the bathroom, she points out that the light is not working. He tells her to wait while he checks it. As he works on the wires, she quietly watches him from nearby. All day long, she has been clinging to him, pretending to be bad with machines. He realizes that if he ever lets his guard down, he might end up doing something reckless, and that would be no good. He begs his own rationality to endure. When he finishes, he tells her that the light was never broken in the first place, and warns her that it is dangerous to keep pretending like this. For the sake of both her safety and their lifestyle together, he feels he must keep some distance. She simply thanks him, but he remains firm. The scene then shifts to the bathroom, where she is soaking in a hot bath, lost in thought. She realizes that he has been avoiding her ever since the incident with the bathroom light. Whenever she tries to talk, he distances himself or quickly retreats to his room. She is certain of it now. She wonders if she was being too clingy and if she has pushed him too far. A sad feeling lingers in her heart, knowing he always reacts so impulsively. But then, in the middle of her bath, she suddenly jumps out. She cannot leave things like this. The scene shifts to the living room, where she sits beneath the sofa and quietly asks if she has done something wrong. He tells her no, not at all. Still, she turns to him with a sincere look and admits that she feels as if he is avoiding her, then wonders aloud if it is only her imagination. He replies that he has only been practicing social distancing. In his mind, however, he knows he cannot say the real reason because being too close might cause him to lose control. She lowers her gaze and says it feels sad, especially since they are living together, but perhaps he is right. He might not want to risk catching something from her. He quickly answers that it is not like that. In fact, he blurts out that he would rather catch something from her. She is taken aback, and he immediately backtracks, reassuring her that he did not mean it. To him, it sounded inconsiderate and even creepy. She gets up, places her hands on his knees, and tells him that if staying just close enough is safe, then she is fine with being near him like this. For a moment he lets her, but soon he distances himself once again. He feels it is unfair, because with an expression like hers, all his efforts to keep space between them feel meaningless. Still, since she looks satisfied, he decides that this much should be fine. After some time, she tries sitting next to him again, but quickly realizes she cannot focus on the phone at all. Until now, she has only admired him from afar in the classroom, but now the boy she loves is right beside her. She can feel his warmth so close, and it makes her heart race. At the same time, she worries that if she goes too far, he might end up hating her. She silently promises herself to never cross the line that would make him turn away. She also notes that he still has not figured out that her supposed clumsiness with machines was a lie. With a satisfied smile, she admits to herself that she pretends not to know many things in the heat of the moment. Of course, he might eventually grow suspicious. If he ever caught her lying, it would be over. As these thoughts weigh on her, the hero checks his phone. A message has arrived announcing that remote classes will begin tomorrow. While Hoshikawa fears the risk of his hatred, he quietly wonders whether the two of them can safely make it through what lies ahead. The next morning, our hero remembers arriving at Hoshikawa's house on Friday night, and now it's already Monday. Yawning, he steps out of his room and sees her drying her hair after a shower. She greets him, and he thinks about how fast time is flying. It's already their third day living together. She lets out a small yawn, and he can't help but think she looks cute even like that. His eyes drift to her lips, then from his angle he notices something else. Her chest is in plain view, bouncing slightly, and he realizes she isn't even wearing a bra. Flustered, he quickly looks away, but now that he's noticed, it's impossible not to. She asks if he's going to wash his face and apologizes for making him wait before telling him to go ahead. Just as she turns, she trips and stumbles forward. He warns her to watch out, but she ends up falling on him, and instinctively his hands grab her chest. He jumps back, apologizing, but she brushes it off and even thanks him for catching her. Before leaving, she tells him to take his time and refresh himself. He watches her walk out, sweating in relief that she isn't angry. She's too kind, he thinks, though he quietly hopes she didn't notice his fingers had squeezed on instinct. My boy is a menace. He didn't let that chance slip. His mind races, and he slaps his cheeks to chase the thoughts away, reminding himself that remote classes start today. The classes follow the same schedule as normal ones, with students wearing uniforms while teachers teach in classrooms and everyone attends online. Yesterday, Hoshikawa asked if they could attend class together, but he told her no. He wanted her to stay in her own room so neither of them would be distracted. He also worried that if anyone found out they were living together, it would cause problems for her. She agreed, and so when class begins, he sets up in the dining room. The first class ends early. While the teacher tells everyone to focus, she suddenly calls on Hoshikawa. When there's no reply, our hero wonders what's wrong. The teacher asks if she hasn't connected yet, and he wonders if the teacher can see all the students. Wouldn't Hoshikawa get caught if she left class? But the teacher explains only Hoshikawa is disconnected, and since it's the first day, such things can happen. Besides, because it's Hoshikawa, she'll probably be fine. Still, our hero worries. The teacher clearly respects her as the top student, but he wonders if she's okay. Then the teacher suddenly calls on him to solve a problem. Shocked and distracted, he freezes. Just then, Hoshikawa pops up behind him, making him jump. Why is she here? The teacher hears his startled voice and asks what's wrong, so he blurts out that a cockroach appeared. When she asks if he's all right, he says he'll just disconnect for a bit. Closing his laptop, he turns to Hoshikawa and asks what's going on. She's trembling as she sits on the floor, asking where the cockroach is. He admits it was just an excuse to leave class, and she breathes a sigh of relief. She then explains that her computer isn't working. Realizing that's the issue, he offers to check it, but she refuses. Instead, she places her laptop on the table, sits down, and gestures for him to sit with her. He asks why he should bring his laptop over, but eventually joins her anyway. Before opening it, he glances at her, wondering if it's really okay. She simply beams at him with a bright smile. She tells him her laptop screen suddenly went black and asks what happened. Our hero simply presses the start button, points out that it's on, and says it looks like it was just off. She makes a puzzled face, then nods as if she understands. He starts to think she might have caught on, so he asks if he can go back to the dining room. But she gives him a small pout and glances his way, and he realizes she wants him to stay and take the class with her. He's surprised she insists on this and wonders if she did it on purpose. When they rejoin the class, the teacher asks Yoshikun if he managed to get rid of the cockroach. He lies again, playing it off. Then the teacher checks on Hoshikawa, and she apologizes for worrying about her. But even as the class goes on, our hero keeps wondering what she's trying to do. She keeps sneaking looks at him, and he wonders if she doesn't dislike sitting so close. Watching her smile so brightly eases his nerves, and he can't help but think how cute she looks. He finally understands she really doesn't mind at all. As long as they stay quiet, nobody will notice, and they can sit beside each other. Still, he regrets agreeing a few minutes later when she pokes his arm. Narrowing his eyes, he whispers what she wants. She says her computer is acting weird. He glances at the screen and says he'll check, but it doesn't turn on. She leans in and suddenly blows on him, making him shudder. He tries to keep calm since class is still going, but then she slides her hand over his. He realizes she's reaching for his hand, and sweat runs down his face. If this keeps up, he'll be done for. He quickly pulls away, but she follows again, trailing her fingers and rubbing his hand gently, almost like she's caressing it. She looks so happy teasing him, while he's frozen stiff with nerves, wondering why she's doing this. By the time class ends, he counts that she teased him 30 times. His heart is pounding, and he's out of breath. Despite the stress, he admits the sensations weren't unpleasant. She closes her laptop and happily says the class went well, while he thinks she looks oddly satisfied. Their eyes meet, and she suddenly grows quiet, asking if he's mad. She apologizes if he didn't like it. He's confused, but quickly tells her no. In fact, he realizes he didn't dislike it at all. Seeing her teary eyes and hearing her reassure herself leaves him dazed. She's just too cute. Her skin looks so flawless, and the gap between her usual serious honor student image and this side of her feels unfair. Now he finally understands why people have crushes on her. If anyone saw her sitting this close to someone like him, they'd be shocked. Calmly, he tells her the truth. He didn't dislike her teasing. She smiles and asks if they can take tomorrow's classes together too. He asks if she means sitting side by side again. She says yes, and adds that if a problem happens, he can fix it right away. He admits that's true, but reminds her it should be fine as long as he doesn't show up on her webcam. Then he asks if she won't do anything weird. She looks flustered, repeating his words and asking what he means by weird. Realizing he embarrassed her, he hesitates before hinting at what he means. After a pause, she softly agrees and then, with a mischievous smile, says she will not do anything he would not like. Her expression leaves him confused. She seems to be saying they'll continue taking classes together, and she thanks him with a small laugh. As he glances at her again, she tells him she's looking forward to it, already hinting at her next move. The day after she told him they could start taking classes together like they did today, they logged on for their online lessons side by side. If her computer acted up, he would sort it out, trying not to accidentally pop up on her screen. It was working out pretty well, unless she decided to pull a prank on him like she did yesterday. Out of nowhere, Sensei calls on her, asking if she can answer a question. She nails it like the overachiever she is, calm and straight to the point, which is pretty much her vibe. He finds her voice oddly soothing, but then he lets out a huge yawn, and of course, Sensei catches it. He almost freaks out when Sensei asks if someone just yawned. That was a close one, especially since her mic picked up his voice. He realizes he needs to be more careful not to get caught like that again. As the class wraps up, he notices he's been way more focused on her than on what they were supposed to be learning. Even when he's trying to concentrate on his screen, he can't help but notice her gorgeous side profile. No matter what he's doing, he can't help but notice her breathing and the sound of her clothes moving. When she suddenly calls him out, it catches him off guard. She asks him about lunch, and he sees it in the group chat. The other students are suggesting they get together to eat. It's basically a room and an app for meetings that lets them video call with a bunch of people. He wonders if it's meant to be fun since he doesn't really have many friends. But then he realizes they probably won't include him because Hisaka, the one who suggested it, is her friend and also the person he finds it hardest to deal with in class. He tells her it's all good if he's not around and encourages her to turn on her camera and enjoy her lunch, which throws her off a bit. She quickly realizes he hasn't hung out with Hisaka and the others yet. Excitedly, she offers to introduce him to them, insisting that lunch with everyone will be fun, but he's just sweating it out, unsure what to do. She pulls out a bento box and even made a portion for him. He can't help but feel amazed by her kindness, her smile, and that homemade lunch. He's hesitant but can't say no. Hisaka spots him and asks why he's still in the meeting room. It's not surprising since she really can't stand him. Hashikawa chimes in happily, saying she thought it'd be great to eat together, so she invited him. Hisaka looks confused about why they're so close. Meanwhile, he's thinking that both girls are like angels and Cerberus at the same time. All he wants is to bail on the whole situation. Just when he's trying to explain that Hashikawa is just a friend, Hisaka isn't buying it. She snaps back that if Hashikawa says so, then it's all good. Not wanting to be grilled any further, he keeps quiet. He still can't figure out why Hisaka and Hashikawa are friends in the first place. Meanwhile, the other students are just chatting, talking about how lonely they are and how they want to hang out. They're also joking around, thinking kids can't get infected and they should just go to school. He feels like he's just eating in a corner of the classroom. At least he's got Hashikawa's homemade bento, which he's grateful for. But he freaks out when Hisaka asks if Hashikawa isn't living alone. She says no. Then Hisaka keeps probing, asking if she really isn't living alone. He's getting really anxious and nearly chokes on his bento. Hisaka rolls her eyes at him for making a scene. Both he and Hashikawa exchange looks. Finally, Hashikawa admits that she does live alone. Hisaka shoots another question, asking if she's not lonely all by herself. Hashikawa nods, but he thinks her response isn't great. Hisaka presses again, asking if she's lying. Now they're both sweating. Just when Hashikawa reassures them that she's really living solo, Hisaka still isn't convinced. She suggests they should hang out at her place, but Hashikawa brushes it off, while he's a total wreck. At the end, now that he can mute himself, Hisaka decides to head out too. Nobody even notices he's gone, and honestly, he's feeling pretty good about it because of her. While everyone else is feeling lonely, he doesn't at all. He goes back to his room, but then she calls after him. She tells him it's about Hisaka and that she texted her a while ago. She asks if it's cool if she comes over. He quickly shuts that down, saying he can't really decide that and leaves it up to her. He warns that if Hisaka comes over, he'll just be in the way. If that happens, he might as well just head out, but he still isn't really into that idea. He reminds her that they definitely can't let anyone know they're living together. But when he says that, she looks a bit puzzled. She's curious if it's something they really have to keep quiet about. She seems kind of tired, and he makes it clear that people could totally blow it out of proportion. She looks a bit let down, and he thinks she's not happy about it. But then she reassures him that she's okay with it since it's their little secret. Surprised, he agrees too. He mentions he asked her to keep his stay a secret, and that also goes for Hisaka, but she really wanted to spill the beans to her. So she thinks maybe it's better to just drop some hints instead. She tells him he's really not a bother to anyone. He thanks her for being so nice to him, but she brushes it off, saying he doesn't need to thank her. He feels like just appreciating her isn't enough, and thinks he should find a way to repay her soon. Later, when she's in her room, she's totally buzzing with excitement. She thinks he's super cute and can't believe he said thanks. It makes her see him as a really genuine guy. She starts to think it would be cool to let him know she's okay with him being a bit spoiled. But then she gets all flustered because she's falling for him. At the same time, she doesn't entirely feel that way. She wants to hint to her friends that they're really something special, but freaks out about how he might just say he's a burden and leave. If that happens, she thinks she'll have to be patient, because she really just wants to be around him all the time, even in the future. Meanwhile, she texts Hisaka to say sorry for not inviting her over, and she's totally cool with it. Time really flies since classes started, and her weird little teases just keep coming. One day, she accidentally drops her eraser, and even though she tries to act cool and not react during class, he can't get her out of his mind. He's super nervous because she finds ways to touch him every day, and her teasing is getting bolder. It makes him wonder if she's doing it on purpose. If she actually likes him, he needs to figure out why she's acting this way. He can't wrap his head around why someone like her would like him, a totally average guy, so he thinks maybe he should just enjoy the moment and not stress about it. Then he gets a notification about the sports festival being canceled. He used to look forward to it, but honestly, spending time with her sounds way better. So he decides to just go with the flow and enjoy his days, no worries. Since then, he also hangs out in the lunchroom. Hisaka randomly brings up page numbers. Just when he's about to chime in, she shoots back that no one asked him. Every time he tries to speak, she just snaps at him, but he manages to keep his cool once classes kick in. As the afternoon classes wrap up, he can't quite figure out what's going on with her. Hashikawa calls him over and notices he looks kind of pale, asking if he's feeling okay. But really, he's just tired since he's not used to these classes and feels sleepy. She offers him her lap as a pillow, which totally freaks him out. Then she lifts her skirt a bit and asks if he'd rather have her soft, squishy thighs. He can't get that image out of his head and is confused about how long she's gonna keep this up. He says it's cool and he'll just use the sofa, but she's having none of it. She insists that if he doesn't want a lap pillow, then he can't use the sofa. He suggests napping on the bed, but she shoots that down too. They're right in the middle of class, but Sensei is only staring at the board. His wants are stronger than his fear of getting caught. He lays his head on her soft, squishy thighs. She notices just how soft they are. He's enjoying the best lap ever, feeling her thighs so close and unsure where to look. Then he shifts his gaze to her, blushing because she's right there. She suddenly comments on how soft his hair feels and decides to give him a massage. It feels amazing to him, almost like pure bliss. This is what they're doing during class. She seems happy too, but he's nervous about actually falling asleep. He starts wondering how long they can keep this up, trying to hold everything in and ignore his own thoughts. They're going into Golden Week ready to just stay home. He's been cooped up at home for over 2 weeks now. The two of them aren't doing anything with anyone. Out of nowhere, his phone starts buzzing. He checks it, and surprise, it's Hisaka calling. He panics a bit. He thinks about ignoring her, but then figures it's better to just answer because she'll keep calling until he does. So he just goes with a quick yes. She tells him to pick up faster next time, but he tries to brush her off. She calls him so boring for not responding properly. He asks her why she even called him in the first place. She suddenly gets all worked up and asks what his deal is with Hoshikawa. That puts him on the spot. He tries to explain that they're just classmates and friends, but she's not buying it. He's curious why she cares so much, and she says it's because Hoshikawa invited him to this room app, which had her worried. He counters that it's probably just her being bored, but Hisaka insists she's concerned that some creepy guy like him might get too attached to Hoshikawa. He doesn't like that label. She presses him for more details, and he finally admits that Hoshikawa asked him for help with Wi-Fi. He thought she looked stressed, so he figured he'd lend a hand. Hisaka can't believe Hoshikawa would be stressed about anything. He wonders if he said something off, but she points out it's not like Hoshikawa usually asks for help. She only remembers her doing that once, before the entrance ceremony. He jumps in and asks why she's even friends with Hoshikawa. That really ticks her off. She reveals that Hoshikawa is someone she really admires. Hoshikawa helped her out with school stuff back in middle school, and because of that, she got into this high school. She feels like she owes her a lot. He's surprised they're that close. She then warns that she'll crush any weird bugs that try to get close to Hoshikawa. She asks if he knows how to get across the house, and he totally freaks out. He's sweating while saying she might not be living alone or could be at her parents' place near the school. When she questions if he means her parents' home, he realizes he's never asked before. Then she sends him a link that shows her family background, revealing that they run a hospital. Her dad's a doctor and the board chairman. It clicks for him. Hoshikawa basically lives like a princess in this fancy mansion, going on credit card shopping sprees. He mentions it must be tough running a hospital, and she warns him not to get close to Hoshikawa. He asks her why she hates him, and she spills it's because of all the stuff Hoshikawa says about him, which confuses him even more. She gets annoyed, saying talking to him drives her nuts, and warns him to keep his hands off Hoshikawa. He then collapses back onto his bed, realizing he's really no good with Hisaka. After grabbing a drink, he steps outside when Hoshikawa calls out, asking if anything's up. She apologizes for being noisy, so he mentions he was just chatting with Hisaka, which confuses her. She starts grilling him about whether they're friends and if he's trying to get close to her, but he totally denies it. When she asks why Hisaka even called, he reveals she wanted to know about his relationship with Hoshikawa, which makes her curious about what he said. He reassures her not to stress, saying he just helped out when she was in trouble. Then he starts to worry that he might have spilled too much, and she insists she wants him to tell Hisaka more. He says he'll be clearer next time and make it obvious they're just strangers. She looks sad and broken, and he wonders if he's missing something. But she brushes him off, saying she'll catch him later, and walks away. He notices she seems down. On her side, she's shocked by how things went down. She never thought Hisaka would call them. Now she's worried she might have looked gloomy in front of him, and he probably thought that was weird. Because of her, he's connecting with other girls. She thinks it'd be better if she was the only one who recognized his charm. She's afraid that if he keeps chatting with everyone, they might start liking him too. Deep down, she knows she's being selfish, wanting him all to herself, so she decides she's going to make sure Hisaka has no clue they're living together. At noon after the call from Hisaka, Golden Week comes around when a dessert-making trend has started defeating the pandemic situation. He also thinks making cakes looks delicious, and Hoshikawa calls out to him. She asks if he remembers when she told him to make some coffee back at home. Pumped, she gets up and says that is why today she decides to make a huge pudding. They prepare the ingredients to start out, and he just glances beside him. And now they are both baking together with matching aprons. He considers it totally great. She has to use the microwave to melt the gelatine. She doesn't know how long to use it, but she can handle it just fine. He knows this because he heard her use it when she was alone. Then he mixes gelatine with water and decides to microwave it for 20 seconds, which makes him ask if she isn't a bit too close, since she is clingy. She remarks that she just wants to learn how to use the microwave. He tries to play it cool, wondering how many more times she plans on using it. Just as he is mixing gelatine with milk, she lights up. As he goes along with the process, she keeps her eyes on him, which makes him wonder if she is going to murder him with that stare. She mentions that she had him do most of the work, but now she's feeling more excited to pitch in and whip up some mixtures. She's starting to feel like a real chef too. He's got a knack for making noodles, and she jokes that his noodles were more chewy than hers that day. He explains it's just because he added hot water. He shares that if he had to choose, he'd prefer eating her cooking. He thinks the breakfast she makes and the bentos he puts together are seriously top-notch, which makes him ponder if they're really that great. He goes on to say that since he's crashing at her place, he should probably learn how to cook for himself. She quickly responds that as long as he wants to keep enjoying her food, she's happy to keep making it for him. He feels a bit embarrassed, saying it's no hassle for him, and he loves eating her stuff. She blushes and assures him to just leave it to her. The next day, as they finish making their dish, they manage to flip it out just right. No mess at all. It turns out super nice. It's jiggly but firm. While he's playfully shaking it, she bursts into laughter, making him wonder what's so funny. He insists it's not even that hilarious, but she keeps cracking up, and he ends up laughing too. The more she asks him to jiggle it, the harder it is for him to resist. They're both giggling and blushing together. Eventually, they dig in, and it tastes amazing, even though they totally overestimated the size and the excitement of the moment. They decide to leave everything as it is since it feels never-ending. He wishes he could call more people, but that would just complicate things. Then she admits she actually likes spending time alone with him, which totally throws him off. She says when she's with him, she feels more like herself and that it kind of takes her back to her childhood, which is super relaxing for her. She thinks it's nice to hear and admit she's different around him. She's been living on her own since she was a kid because her parents were always busy with work. Hizaka remembers her saying her parents ran a hospital, so her grandparents played a big role in her upbringing. But when she saw her friends spending time with their parents, she felt pretty jealous. She just cried or laughed without a care in the world. She wants to ask about stuff she missed out on, but it didn't feel right with her grandparents. He starts to think maybe he got her all wrong. He thought this stunning beauty wouldn't have any vulnerabilities, but maybe this is who she really is. She tells him she respects her parents, and while he was looking for someone to spoil him, she grew up not even realizing she needed that. She says this is why she's always wanted him to spoil her. She feels bad for even thinking about these things at her age. He brushes that off, saying age doesn't really matter. Then he kind of hesitates, not sure how to respond. He gets what she's trying to say and admits there are times when he wants to be spoiled too. After all, he's only human. He just doesn't usually find someone who feels right for that. So he asks if he's really enough for her. Then he declares that spoiling her would be his greatest honor. She looks at him, her cheeks turning red, and asks if it's really cool. He quickly says yes, and that's all it takes for her to decide to go for it. After that, she just hangs on to him. He's done a lot of touching before, but this feels different. This time, it's like their bodies are really connecting. He thinks it's pretty fun and feels like he's getting to know her body better. If they keep this up, he figures they'll get even closer. Out of nowhere, an emergency alert pops up, letting them know there's going to be a press conference about the quarantine in a week. After a pretty awesome dinner with that huge pudding, he feels a bit sleepy. She jumps in and says there's still some time before bed, so she asks if he wants to play some games. He's down for it. Curious, he asks if she likes playing games, but she admits she doesn't really get them. This time, she seems more honest about it since she's never actually played before. She just has the console for when friends come over. It's the latest model too, and super hard to get since it just came out. They decide to dive into one of the games she actually likes, and surprisingly, she's got a bunch of games already downloaded. She points out one of those games that looks easy, but she's totally mixed up about when she downloaded it. Turns out it was a month ago, which makes him wonder how much she's been trying to ignore it. He caught that for sure. She had everything ready way before, even longer than he thought. Because of that, he feels like she's really opened up to him, treated him nicely. and it honestly made him super happy. So he asks what's next, and she gets confused, wondering what he means. He starts to freak out a bit, and she admits she wanted to get closer to him. She thinks back to how they shared nothing in common back in class, but she always wanted to connect with him. She figured if they had some fun together, they'd end up finding some common ground. This makes him realize she really saved him by seeing things in a whole new light. He also says he wanted to get closer to her too, which lights her up. He asks if she wants to keep playing the game, and she's all in. Up until now, the picture he had of her shifted completely, and they're both having a blast with the game. She's shouting and getting totally fired up as she keeps losing. Then, out of nowhere, she starts crying and asks if he can show her how to play. He tells her she can actually jump again in mid-air and shows her the ropes. She's down to earth, and he helps her clear the level. He likes her way more now, and they're both having a great time. She says it was some awesome gaming, and thanks him for helping clean up. So he starts packing up the console and gets ready to leave. As things chill out, he wonders what just happened. Out of nowhere, she calls out to him that she's going to take a bath. Then she remembers something important and tells him he can go ahead and jump in first. He gets it and decides to go for it. While in the bath, he thinks about all the fun they've had. They made a huge betting setup for gaming, and he really got to know her better. They did a lot today, and he's wiped out, just ready to unwind. While he's soaking in deep in thought, he thinks he hears something. Suddenly, it feels like she jumps in. He freaks out and starts screaming, and then she pokes him in the back. He's totally lost, not knowing what's happening. She's trying to figure out what to do next. Meanwhile, he's just confused because there's no way it's really her, but she's right there behind him, wrapped in a towel and blushing like crazy. She comments that his back is broader than she thought, and he's just wondering why she's even there. He asks if she did not mention that he could go in first. She says she did, and that is why she comes in after him. He realizes she is doing it on purpose. He gets that she wants to see his reaction, but he cannot even move an inch since he is totally naked. With this, he wonders if she is even dressed, and she says she has a towel, asking if he was expecting her to bathe with clothes on. He starts freaking out, telling her to get out, thinking they are naked together, but she tells him to relax since she has a towel on, and she thinks it is fine. She then gets close to him, laying her hands on his back, and she says she wants to get closer while he is completely naked. She leans in even more, whispering in his ear, saying she wants to stick to him perfectly. Since his eyes are closed, all his other senses are going wild, and she just thought the clothes would get in the way. He wonders if she really only has a towel on, which confuses her. He questions what she is even trying to do, saying that even pranks have limits. She says she is not pranking him, and he wonders if this is not a joke, then asks if she is not uncomfortable entering a bath with a guy already in it. She says it is not like that, and he just keeps freaking out. He suddenly turns around, which freaks her out, and she starts screaming. He quickly turns back when he hears her scream. He asks if she is really okay, while on the other hand, she is totally flustered. He feels relieved that she is not naked. But suddenly, out of the blue, her towel starts to slip, and right in front of his eyes, her huge, soft, and squishy assets get revealed, which freaks both of them out, and they start screaming. He quickly turns around, covering his eyes, saying that he saw nothing, though he tries to play it cool. She tells him to relax. He then heads out, apologizing, and decides to wait for her to finish. But he remarks that she might catch a cold if she went out like that. He thought she had finished first, but she had already gone out. He decides to finish up quickly, so she can come back in. He starts wondering if she also saw him naked, and he questions what he is even supposed to do. He cannot figure out how he will explain this when he gets out. On the other hand, she is thinking that she really overdid it. She had so much fun with him when they were playing games, and she was so happy being her real self with him. She thought their hearts had gotten closer, and that is why she wanted to keep moving closer. She thought maybe if she was a bit more daring and inviting, then they would get even closer. She thought that, but she was not expecting this kind of outcome. She might have rushed things a bit, out of fear of losing him to other girls. She was kind of misunderstood. She thought she would never get naked in front of anyone. But somehow she found the guts to do it because it was him. Now she feels super embarrassed that he saw everything. Plus, she kinda saw him naked too. It makes her really sad thinking about what kind of face she should make when he comes out of the bath. The next morning, they both say good morning, but it's a bit awkward because of what happened. She and our guy are stuck in this weird spot. In class, she tries to reach out to him, but he just brushes her off. It's becoming a routine. She starts to say something but stops midway, and she avoids touching him. She wants to get back to the fun times they used to have, but it's hard now, and they can't keep living like this. A few days later, they find out the state of emergency is getting completely lifted, which catches them both off guard. Most areas will have things back to normal soon. Long story short, everything will be back to regular within a month, which means they can start classes again and the dorms will reopen. He tells her he's heading back to his dorm next week, and he knows their unusual living situation can't last forever. She seems a bit down about him leaving, and he picks up that she doesn't really want him to go, but he knows he can't stay here forever. Then he notices she's not looking so great. She admits she feels a bit tired, and he asks if she has a fever. She's not sure, so she checks. Turns out she has a mild fever, and he starts to get worried. He suggests she should lie down while he whips up dinner. She asks if he can actually handle that, and he confidently says he can cook more than just noodles, so she decides to rest and appreciates him for it. He wonders if she has a common cold or if it is a virus, and he decides to do what he must. As he goes inside her room, he asks if she is really okay. She worries if she should put her mask on, but he tells her to play it cool. She then asks if he knows he is also fit as a bull. He tells her not to worry about him and to just relax. She reveals she is a bit exhausted and feels awful. He asks if it is her stomach, but she says it is her pajamas that are sticky because of all the sweat. She is sweating a lot. If he lets her stay like this, she will get cold once the sweat vaporizes. He suggests she should change her clothes, saying she does not have to bathe right now, but she says she would be fine with bathing if he came in with her. He totally denies it. She then gets up and decides she will get in alone while he tells her to just rest. She suddenly sneezes hard, saying she refuses to stay this sweaty. And he totally gets it. He then brings some towels while she deals with the sweaty clothes. When he comes back with the towels, he notices she is catching some Z's. Seeing her asleep, he decides they will wipe her later. He wonders if it is okay to touch a girl who is sleeping, but she mumbles about sticky and white while still asleep, which makes him wonder if she is half awake. He then gets it and decides it cannot be helped, so he makes sure to wrap her properly with the blanket. With this, he removes the blanket again, while she keeps mumbling it is hot and cold, saying she is sticky. She keeps mumbling to White, and he considers the situation totally hell. He takes the towel, thinking it cannot be helped, but then gets shocked as he sees all her assets while she is sweating. He is surprised at why she is practically naked, and she looks so drenched in sweat. He thinks if he leads her like this, she really might get even sicker. So pumped up, he gets ready to wipe her down. He grabs the bucket and towel and starts with her face. She's sweating and blushing, and he can't get her face out of his head. Carefully he wipes the sweat, hoping not to wake her. Then he moves to her neck and gently down to her assets, surprised that even the towel doesn't block how soft she is. He wonders what it would be like to touch her through the towel, but brushes the thought away to just clean her as best as he can. He also tries to change her pajamas the best he can. After that, his memory gets fuzzy, and he can't recall much. In the end, he manages to do a good job, even squeezing his eyes shut so tightly they're now aching. Out of nowhere, she suddenly opens her eyes, cheeks flushed, then quickly closes them again, trying to catch some sleep. He can't help but think how fake it all seems. Sure, she's blushing, but he doubts it's just the fever. It's a strange moment, and slapping her awake to ask why she's pretending isn't an option. He decides to keep it chill, letting out a sigh of relief. After grabbing the bucket, he tells her he's heading out and wishes her good night. She's not improving, and with hospitals refusing to take in patients with high fevers, things are getting tense. When he calls the clinic, they're super laid back and just tell him to quarantine and stay in. It's not great that no one's accepting patients right now. He starts to wonder if things are safer outside since the state of emergency is being lifted. He tells himself to pull it together and not overthink things. He walks over to check on her, asking if she's feeling okay, and she responds that she's still wiped out and sleepy. He suggests they call her family, but she says she doesn't want to worry them. He thinks maybe she's worrying them even more by not reaching out. He remembers her dad is a doctor and wonders why they can't just ask him for help. She insists she doesn't want to bother him since he's busy with work. He's baffled by whether her dad prioritizes work over his own daughter. He knows he can't change her mind with just words. He mentions how he should have just stayed out of it. She tells him to keep it cool. Just as he's about to walk away, she says if he picks work over her, she might start resenting him, and that freaks her out. He totally gets where she's coming from and tells her to make sure she rests. He's still pondering if contacting her parents is the right move. It feels wrong for him to be the one to take care of her. Shouldn't it be someone she trusts more? If he had to hand it off to someone, it would probably be their teacher, but that might lead her to call her folks. So he figures Sasaka might be the best bet. He heads to the bathroom, trying to keep his nerves in check, hoping she won't notice him. Feeling anxious is making him queasy, and he worries that asking for her help might mess things up between them, but he can't shake it off and decides he has to make the call. When he does, she immediately asks what he needs.